What's up? What's up? What's up? We got a mega movie review today of some good movies that we've checked out for you guys. And I'm ready to get into it. We got about three big movies today.
Yes, sir. You suggested the first one in our lineup on the last show, Censor. It is a British horror film, and I did not know what to expect and dove right in, and it was an experience to say the least.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It takes place, since there is a British indie horror film, it takes place back in 1984, if I'm not mistaken. 84. When they were going through and censoring films within the early 80s due to the cult classic Halloween. Because of John Carpenter's Halloween in the early 80s, people rushed out flicks. Some of them looked too real. So they created the job of censoring those movies and what you can and cannot put inside of movies. Now, this movie takes place about an actual worker that is censoring the movies. And Matador, how did you feel? That's the setup. I want you to kind of explain how you felt about the rest of the movie.
So yeah, coming into the movie, it is very familiar territory to me because some of the stuff we do, um, dealing with censorship and what can and can't go anywhere touches close and seeing things you shouldn't see. Growing up, seeing all kinds of crazy stuff, especially in movies. Um, it's kind of one of those things where okay, here's the backdrop, here's the behind the scenes of how that works. So you take it in to Enid, who's the main character, and her story. You can tell right off the bat, the director for this movie wanted to give you a feel. He wanted to create an ambiance with the lighting. You can see he's always got the red and that kind of green lighting
Yeah.
together, and it's always prominent throughout his film. I think he did a good job with that. He did kind of make it interesting in the beginning, but I did not follow everything because the way he told his story was rather confusing. But I
Yes.
guess that's why the movie
Yes.
is set up the way it is. But yeah, I think that with this movie, you have to really just sit down and be open to watching it. Um, it's not it's not scary.
Mm.
It tries on a few occasions to kind of scare you, to creep you out, different things. But I think it's almost like
More of
a
a psychological horror than
yeah,
actual horror.
yeah, for
So
sure.
no, but you're right. This movie takes place with the character Enid, and she does work within that facility of, you know, letting people know what they can and cannot have, censoring their movies, the name of the movie. Um, but Enid also is struggling because she lost her sister at a young age. And her parents, the entire movie, are telling her she needs to get over it. Her sister may be dead. And she's kind of upset to why her parents would just give up. But you can tell that these horror films of her day in and day out watching these horror films are starting to wear on her psyche. And it breaks down and goes in an interesting direction. Now, like Matador said, it may not be for everyone. It is weird and a little confusing. But I would like to say Matador, like towards the end, we're not going to give too many spoilers. But towards the end, when everything starts to wrap up, there is a portion of where you can tell the main character's point of view is being obscured or whatnot, because literally the camera starts to slowly angle in as if she was in a movie herself. The more and more that her mind starts to deteriorate. And that's what I really liked about it. I was like, oh wow, she's losing, not only is she losing her mind, it's turning into a movie for her. It's really good.
Yeah, it definitely was a display of PTSD taking
Yeah.
over. Um, that that's just something like a lot of people could probably relate to. Seeing these things and having traumatic experiences, seeing stuff like that can be a
Mm.
trigger for you to go into those mind places. And I think that's kind of really what it was trying to speak to. Is she has PTSD based off of what happened with her sister, and then that movie that Don't Go Into the Church that she reviewed, she started to see her sister in the movie, and everybody's just kind of like, what's going on, what are you doing? And she starts becoming obsessed trying to solve the mystery murder or missing disappearance of her sister. And everybody feeds into it in a way that's like, okay, maybe she's onto something, and then it's like, oh.
It's it's an interesting way of playing with someone's psyche. I would say that's why I think a lot of people like it because it's something new, it's something different. We haven't necessarily seen something like this. I would say the best version. This is a good movie, but I would say, only other horror film that me and you have watched as of right now that I think can come close to this type of genre of horror is Mandy, but I think Mandy did it better.
Mandy was just, bringing that one up, it's like that movie just had more action in it. That's really
Yeah.
what it came down to. And then Nicolas Cage is I think he's a very gifted actor. He might be, he he might be Nicolas Cage in every movie, but sometimes that's all you need for your movie.
We'll definitely have to review Mandy because we don't want to go down that rabbit hole because he is amazing in that movie. But I definitely have to say that you're right. Mandy had more action. I think you're with this movie. I get lost, like you said, in the middle. It gets boggled down,
Right.
a little confusing, and it throws you off until the end, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, I guess it was good. But overall, how did you feel about Censor?
I think I would recommend Censor to people to watch if they're bored and need something to do on an evening and don't know what to watch. Take take that journey. It's not a super long movie. You'll be saying what the fuck is going on a lot, and you'll take from it what you will. Are you gonna be blown away? I can't say that. Different people have different tastes. I didn't get blown away. I was just like, okay. So I don't know. Ultimately, I think like a B minus is probably the highest I could give it. It was good, but it wasn't great, and it was bad, but it wasn't horrible at the same time. Um, I wouldn't tell people to stay away from it. I think it was interesting. Um, it's just unique.
Yeah, definitely unique film. And like I said, I definitely need to just check it out again just to make sure I fully understand it. But definitely think it's a good movie overall. Like you said, B minus, maybe C plus most. And like, if you're bored, don't have anything to watch, and you like horror films, why not
Why not?
overall? Now, our next film that we actually watched and reviewed is another horror film. This is a three-part series that comes out every Friday. Today we're going to talk about Fear Street Part 1, 1994. Came out on Netflix, and it's based on an R.L. Stein book or trilogy of books.
That's pretty cool. Dun 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 dun, dun the goosebumps. Yes, R.L. Stein. Uh, I never read this. I didn't know it was a thing. You kind of told me, "Hey, check this movie out," and we sat, watched it. It was fun. I think this movie was really fun. You have like you have kind of like they build this little universe situation going on. They get into it right away. Hey, here's this town, um, and in this town, everybody just keeps getting murdered and killed, and they have a history of that every so many years that happens. So they build this lore to this town, and then here we are in 1994. according to the title, first off, and then easily discover that's what it is when you get that Nine Inch Nails song right at the beginning. And yeah, you're seeing it's almost like a parody of different movies from horror films, because of
It
the
definitely is. The first kill, which was by Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter, Maya Hawke. Um, Maya Hawke is the first kill in Fear Street, and if you look at it scene for scene, it's Casey Becker getting killed in Scream.
right. Right.
It's
It
legit.
definitely was. It definitely was. So it had some Dawn of the Dead feel to it from the mall, and then we were just like laughing, like this is ridiculous. Like why is she doing this? So it starts you off really on like a good pace. They get the kill. You start the movie and you think, okay, it's a slasher film,
Mhm.
and then the more we dive into the lore, you realize it's more than a slasher film. There are different things happening, and there's this group of people who are dealing with these things, and why they're dealing with it. That's where you start to lose me in this movie.
Well, and I definitely understand that's why you start to lose people in the movie. But again, that's this we're just on the first part. We still have a lot of information to unravel. That means we have another good what 4 hours. If these are movies, I think it was about 2 hours was the first movie. So that
Right.
means we still have about 4 hours of information to dive into, which the next one will take place in. Again, I've already talked to you about this. I feel you would like the second one a little bit more because the second one is more Jason themed, more Camp Crystal Lake themed,
Yeah.
and that's your era of horror. You love 80s and that I feel that's where we'll dive in and get a little bit more of what we really like. But for the first one, I think the kills were awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
Um, I think that they really set the tone for the 1994. It wasn't too much. It wasn't over the top 90s. I
You're
kind
right.
of felt like it was modern in a sense.
Yeah, it was almost right there. You had the feel of the 90s, and sometimes it's hard to do because again, it's like it's a generation before where we are now, maybe two almost, and to try to go into that, what happens? We talked about it on the Wonder Woman review that
Yeah.
they do everything in their power to make you know that this is the 80s, this is the 90s, and in there they just like let you be in the 90s. They don't keep like, hey look, it's the 90s, we have CD-ROM. The only thing that really like pushed itself out was like he's using AOL, which
Yeah.
to me that's a nostalgia factor because I know what that's like. I used it, and to use that messenger, like okay, that's something that you can say, hey, this is the 90s, but not like every single thing
Felt
was.
like the 90s. And like you said, but even like the AOL thing, even like how we chat with each other on Discord, it doesn't take you too far out of existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
still feels kind of modern in a sense. I love the characters, all the actors in it. I actually enjoyed. Um, like I said, the kills were outrageous. I don't want to give away too much, but the bread slice, the bread slice.
Man, hey, there's some kills in there if that's what you're into. When you watch horror films, if you're worried about how people get murked, this had very creative ways for people to get murked. That one specifically, I liked. Um, I'll say this: I think that this movie reminds me kind of like a smaller version of it. It's like the newer one, just because these characters fit their age group. Like I felt like I'm watching people that are in high school, whereas if you go through movies all the time, a lot of times they put characters who are supposed to be in high school and they're like 30, and you're like, that's not a high school kid. Like that's a grown ass man, like trying to be in high school, and it's hard to imagine because I've been in high school. I know what we looked like. Like,
Fact.
you know what I'm saying? So I think I was able to get behind it a little bit more because the characters fit the age group that they were supposed to be. They're as naive as they need to be. They weren't overly stupid. I did like the different characters' personalities. Not so much the main two, just because getting that was getting a little annoying. It seems as though on this movie, what they're going through outside of the actual like horror stuff, to me that was just it was extra and annoying. That's just me though.
Well, I feel that, they're setting up a universe, and again, we still have more time to dive in stuff. We have, I think the officer has something to do with it. Maybe some of their parents have something to do with it. That's why I think 1984 will give us a lot more answers into, you know, why is the town so shady, and why are these kids so closely connected with all these horrible things that happen. One of them has to be related to somebody that did something wrong. I just have to go out and say it. They have to. Somebody's family member, somebody great pig stealing granddaddy did something wrong to somebody.
Well, our main protagonists are like us, colored peoples. And I don't think that in the 1600s we would be involved in such antics, but
Hey, I mean, maybe Sam has something to do with it. Her family, maybe it has something twisted is with the city, and that's what I'm interested in finding out is what happened. I'm not necessarily interested in all the witchcraft and other sorcery things, but what what in the town is making people turn into serial killers?
right. I
You
mean,
know,
it is the witch, this curse that's turning them into it, but at the same time, like there definitely should be something more to it because they thought they defeated the witch's curse, and then turns out they didn't really defeat it.
that's
So
what I'm saying. Because there was the bones of the witch, but then there was like a witch underground, like doing something. So there's more to it than just a witch. Like there's some
what's
other shit going on.
what's the WandaVision lady? It was her all along.
It was Agatha all along.
Yep, that's exactly what's happening here. They're trying to pull the rug from under you. But yeah, if you watch the trailer for the next part, it is definitely more hype. We know we're gonna see some of the different killers. They show different types of killers. They're really cool. The ghost face, the skull killer, skull mask, or what they call him. They just call him Skull Mask. Like Ghostface is Ghostface. It's his Skull Mask. Anyway, and then you have the Jason style killer with this damn
Potato stack.
potato sack head. And to me, he was the scariest one of the three because you had the one that was trying to cut him with the razor blade, the
Yeah,
suicide
the
chick.
chick. Yeah.
Um, but out of the ones that we kind of got glimpses of, you have like the what is it, the plague doctor mask wearing one, and then you
Yeah.
have
The little
uh,
boy with the
the,
bat.
the little boy, and then the milkman. I was like, I'm super excited to see the milkman.
Nah, definitely. Like, I just want to know what these kills are gonna look like. Why do they want these people to be serial killers? Like, at the end of the day, what does the witch get out of that? Like, she has to get something out of it.
Revenge.
Revenge. Like, dang, girl, I didn't do nothing. That was my great granddaddy.
Yeah, hey, won't like that legacy stuff.
Like, that
They
ain't
could
my.
have done it, on a simpler version. One of my favorite horror movies is it's not even scary, but it's funny. Ernest Scared Stupid, and like like he lived with they buried the troll, and the troll put a curse on Phineas Worrell, his great great ancestor. It was like every generation after you is gonna be dumber and dumber and dumber. So like that was a great curse when they're trying to turn them into serial killers and different stuff, and then they're like invincible. Like there's just nothing you can do. It was hard. I think they struggled against that type of curse for sure.
Yeah, well, you couldn't do anything to the killers. They were unstoppable, and that's what makes it scary for those killers. Now, I'm definitely excited, like I said, to see the next two, and we're gonna dive into those. Definitely, we're gonna review all three of those movies.
Oh yeah,
Hopefully, once they all come out. But our next movie is the big one that came out on Amazon on July 2nd. It was the Fourth of July movie for the weekend, and it was The Tomorrow War, starring Chris Pratt and J.K. Simmons.
yeah. The Tomorrow War. Like this movie. First off, let's get the Amazon hype. Amazon Prime's greatest video movie of all time. Okay, it was good. It was fun. It was action packed. It gives me a sense of like Independence Day. Like that's how serious I can take it because it's not super serious. It's actually really funny in some parts. It also had some scary shit happen.
Yeah.
They just try to do a lot of different things.
Daddy,
And
you guys super strong.
oh, thank you. She said I'm super strong. I must have watched that movie a bunch of times
Just like
then.
just like Chris Pratt, huh? In that movie. Yeah, man. And speaking of daughters, that's what I enjoyed about that movie is that Chris Pratt, you know, he had to go into the future to save his daughter. He wanted to go fight this war in the future to make sure that his legacy, his family was taken care of. And what was cool about this movie, a light spoiler, is when he went into the future, he actually fought in this war beside his daughter. And while watching this movie, Matador was getting emotional, texting me, letting me know that because he has a daughter, and like that's something that a dad would have to look forward to.
Yeah, that's the ultimate. You wanna stab me through the heart. Do something with the daughter dad relationship. Yeah, it touches on that, which is great. It also touches on having a bad daddy relationship, him and his daddy, and then him being like this great father, and then learning that he really wasn't great after all. Like all those things played into itself. Um, the movie itself was really cool. You have a pretty good premise. They're just he's a scientist. He's trying to become the scientist on the top of his field, and he's trying to instill his daughter to be great, and he fails right there at the very beginning, and then they're watching a live
Soccer.
soccer game, and all of a sudden, boom! Here's these soldiers from the future just come out of nowhere, and basically shit on everybody's world and lets them know that hey, in the future, these things are finna attack us, and we're going to die. So we're going to recruit y'all to help us fight in the war that's happening in the future. It's a pretty
Which
cool
is
premise.
it's yes, and it has time travel, and people talk about time travel and how there's so many plot holes. Time travel is not real. Of course there are going to be plot holes.
Listen, if you have the flux capacitor, that's
Like,
what makes time travel possible.
like we haven't had summer blockbusters in so long, everybody. Let's just enjoy the summer blockbusters. Like, let's enjoy what they're giving us because you could still be watching some Gerard Butler Into the World movies. Hey,
Yeah,
that's
that's
I'd rather
cool.
watch them. I mean, Greenland was good, but I'd rather go out and see something like this. Like I said, Chris Pratt. Yeah, it's a typical space future fight aliens movie, But at the end of the day, it's something new. We haven't had anything new in a while. We haven't had anything fun. And that's what I liked about that movie is like you said, it really didn't take itself too serious. They knew what they were. Like they had some sad scenes, but also they had a lot of comic relief because of Chris Pratt. But not just because of him, because of some of the people he fought with in the movie. There were great characters. Now we're gonna have to get on the actual threat of the movie, which were the white spikes, were the aliens that were destroying the Earth at fast paces. They could shoot spikes out of their tails to pretty much kill you instantly.
Yeah. They said it right in the movie. They said, "Why won't you show us the white spikes while they're getting recruited?" And they said, "Well, because if you see it, then you won't want to go." Like, and I can say 100% that if I had seen that, I'd be like, fuck this. Y'all go ahead and send me to jail. I'm not fighting that thing. Now, of course, if I had to think of my family and being in that moment, if I was the only hope, then sure, I would do what I have to do. But those things are scary as shit. You're talking
Bro,
about, you're talking about in different movies like zombie movies. I'm not afraid of the Resident Evil type zombies. I'm not afraid of your slow walking zombies. I'm afraid of 28 days later where they start chopping so damn fast, or Dawn of the Dead where they're running after you like, no, hello, I'm not fast. So this is horrible for me. And yeah, I mean, those white spike things were just like, that
they were
was,
knocking over tanks.
they were scary. You couldn't do anything to it. The only thing you could do is shoot it in the chest or the neck to stop it. And I mean, a lot of teeth, a lot of spikes. They did not care. They want to rip you apart. They're hunting you. Oh man, some movies take the slow burn approach of showing you the aliens, because the more you look at it, the more you can see how fake it is and all this stuff. But they weren't worried about this. They had a pretty good design, and they show you, in a decent part of the movie where it happened, and then you get, a whole assault. It kind of reminded me of Starship Troopers, to be honest.
Yeah, but these were, yeah, it starts. It does, but these whites, I'm telling you that, especially the Queen, I was like, yo, I would be terrified. Just like that one character, I can't remember his name, and I'm sorry, I'm dropping the ball on that. Um, but his friend,
He said, "I
the black
hid."
guy, he hid. And bro, in all honesty, I would too. But at the end of the day, that's terrifying. Those aliens are, to me, I would say, out of all space invasion movies that I watch, a lot of the times, the aliens they're well equipped. They're uh, eons above knowledge than us. But I would say the aliens that scare me more are primitive aliens, just like that. They're
Yeah,
here to only
yeah.
mate and feed.
They're ultra animals, like the predators we have on our planet times a billion.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's scary.
yeah, there's no reasoning with it. It's just your food. I'm finna eat you, and that's gross. And it's like bugs, dude. That's what I'm
That
saying. It's like they're like bugs. It's like Starship Troopers. Um, but yeah, I mean, and the dude's name was Charlie in the movie who he was talking about.
Charlie.
And yeah, he was really funny in that movie. Um, Definitely, they did what we talked about on the Nikolai Capone podcast. We talk about that roller coaster effect, uh, and they take the scary stuff that is kind of scary, and they give you a bunch of shit to laugh at. So that way, when it's time for that, it's more effective. Like, you start to get like, oh shit. Now, I'll say this: the movie started off. It's pretty long, but it started off um, very heavy, and I think it like had its own thing going where I was like super into it, and then once we started getting towards the end, I started to get lost a little bit. Like they started to do too much, and
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not as effective as it was just a minute ago. Um, Especially, when he's at the end and making the last decisions before returning to the present time. Like all that stuff started getting like, y'all are doing too much to me. This is just like an action overload right now, and you got away from what was working in the movie. But ultimately, I think the movie still salvaged itself at the end. It was a good ending, and I think that I definitely would recommend this one.
I definitely would recommend it as well. I don't know, and I get what you said. It did definitely towards the end because, like you said, there was the whole scene. We don't want to spoil it, but towards the end, there's a scene and a thing that happens, and I had to like pause the movie after it happened. I was like, "Holy shit, we still got 30 minutes left."
That's what
But
I'm
let's.
saying. That's what I'm saying. That movie was long. I was like, geez, I paused it to go do something, and then I realized I still had a whole hour left. And I'm like, I thought it would be like 20 more minutes. Like,
Especially after that scene happened, you're like, "Wait,
yeah,
what else can happen from here?"
it had a lot of cool stuff happen. I mean, just the like you were talking about the time stuff. Like, yes, if you're looking for the perfect time travel stuff. I don't know that this movie gives you that. It gave me a simple explanation. It's a wormhole, and you're basically like on an island of time that's moving forward, which is regular present, and then you can jump to another island in the future, but you can never go past your past. You can never go back behind. Like both moments in time keep moving forward, which doesn't make sense really if you think about it. Because if we're talking, so you could just never go back. When it doesn't make sense,
It
Elijah.
doesn't.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't.
make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But here's the thing: they simplify it and tell you, "Look, you're going in the future. You'll be there for 7 days. You'll come back. That's the end of your tour." That's all. To me, if I was drafted, that's all I need to know. I don't need to know the mathematics behind this shit. You just drilled a GPS tracker into my arm. All right, I'm already here. Let's just fucking go.
I don't understand. How did they get that specific moment in time and then be like, "There's a wall here that we can't go further back"? It just doesn't make sense to me. So don't try to figure that part out. But um,
Also, the landing coordinations didn't make sense. They just dropped them off on top of a roof and prayed and sprayed.
technically, they didn't even drop them on top of the roof. They dropped them like 100 feet above that, and they were just falling. Like, man, come on, y'all can do a little better than that.
Like, hey, the future technology's boo boo in this movie. So
Oh, it definitely is. Like, there was no. It wasn't like Back to the Future or one of those things where you go into the future and you see like this advanced civilization. The only reason the future was the only reason the future was relevant was because they had invented that time travel behind, like to go back, but
yeah,
also just as a mean to have information. Like literally, that's all it was. They didn't give them anything. Um, they had to develop the cure or whatever, and then send that through
they bet
time.
they barely had the time tower travel set up. He literally was like, "This is holding together by chicken wire." I was like, "I don't want to. Why would you draft me?"
That's what I don't understand. Like on one end, it's like here's chicken wire. On the other end, we're gonna put this thing on your arm that's like super advanced, and you can't take it off with anything unless like you're super smart and know what you're doing.
Hey,
Okay, okay. It was just a it was just a big pile of fun thrown together. It's some laughs. Um, don't take it too seriously. I think you'll have a good time if you didn't watch it. A lot of explosions. Like I said, it reminds me of Independence Day. When you think of Independence Day, is that really a great movie? Probably
No,
not, but it was fun as shit, and I can watch it a bunch of times. So that's why, I say watch this.
yeah, definitely. I would say watch this as well. I don't think we had any bad movies within this movie review today, Matador, because a lot of movies are coming out right now. It's summer. Big blockbusters are dropping every week, and I believe we're gonna keep dropping mega movie reviews. We're gonna keep getting better at it because that's what we do. Now, Matador, we next time, like I said, we'll be able to review Black Widow for the next review. Fear Street Part 2 for the next review, and we'll probably throw in a third surprise randomly out there for y'all. So, Matador, take us out for today.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for joining the Retro Matador Live podcast. Thank you for those of y'all who chimed in to let us know we were having the technical issues. If you are interested in getting my half of all the conversation that we missed, we'll be posting it to YouTube, and it should have all the audio in place. In the future, either I have to get a new program to use, or I'll have to check that out right off the bat. We're going to have somebody check my sound right away. So either way, we'll get it going. We'll get it figured out. I think I understand what the kinks are, but you would think technology should work. But listen, we're holding it together with chicken wire, and what do you expect? That is
We
what
can
it
only go
is.
to one point in time, okay?
That's all we can do. But yes, thank you so much for listening, chiming in, checking in. Please, please, please hop on to the YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. Those are things that are free. My
Free, free,
link
free, free,
for
free.
the channel is in the description, and also you can see our different handles. You can find Retro EJ on the Instagram, or retro underscore detro, and you can find me on Twitter and Twitch. It's Matador Gabe and Matador underscore Gabe for the Twitch. But yeah, we will do our thing next week. Probably drop a few more movies. If you want to hear us talk about a specific movie, or you want us to review a specific movie, send us a comment, let us know, and we'll take a look at the movie, and then we'll talk about it. We'll see what's up. We can do that. But yeah, that's all I got.
And again, like and subscribe, and y'all have a good one.
Catch you
Peace.
on the flip.
Is there music playing? That's why I was dancing. They can hear me, right? Yeah, y'all can hear me still. Yeah.